Last year, I discovered something in Gran Betty's house that genuinely bothered me. Not because anything was wrong, because everything was right. Her house was warmer than mine, more comfortable than mine, more inviting than mine. Yet her energy bill was dramatically lower than what I was paying. Now, I wish I could tell you there was some secret technology hidden in the loft. Maybe a state-of-the-art heating system. Maybe solar panels covering every inch of the roof. Maybe some clever gadget I'd never heard of. But there wasn't. In fact, most of her methods looked like they belonged in another century. I remember sitting at her kitchen table staring at her energy bill, then looking around the room, then looking back at the bill, and finally asking, "Gran Betty, how on earth are you doing this?" She took a sip of tea, smiled, and said, "Because I don't pay to heat the garden." I laughed. She didn't. And as usual, that meant she was about to teach me something. You see, Gran Betty had a gift. She could spot waste from 20 feet away. Not just money. Anything. Heat, electricity, food, time. She treated waste the way a sheepdog treats a fox in the henhouse. The moment she spotted it, she was after it. If you're enjoying Gran Betty's wisdom already, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Every week we share practical lessons that helped ordinary families build security, avoid waste, and create lasting wealth without complicated financial jargon. Growing up, I thought Gran Betty worried about the strangest things. Most children remember grandparents baking cakes. I remember mine stalking around the house hunting for drafts. She'd suddenly stop talking in the middle of a conversation, tilt her head, and say, "Can you feel that?" I'd say, "Feel what?" She'd point dramatically at a door. The pound note escaping under there. At the time, I thought she was joking. Now I know she wasn't. One winter afternoon, I watched her crawl across the floor with the determination of a military commander. I thought she'd lost an earring, maybe a button. Instead, she was searching for a draft beneath the back door. When she found it, she looked genuinely offended. Then she said, "Well, there's your problem. We're practically heating Sussex." That became one of my favorite Gran Betty quotes. We're practically heating Sussex. Because that's exactly what many of us do. We spend money creating warmth, then allow it to escape, and then spend more money replacing the warmth that escaped. Gran Betty's first rule was simple. Before you spend money improving your home, find out where your money is leaving your home. She called it drawing the borders. She treated every house like a castle. Every castle has walls, every castle has gates, every castle has weak spots, and every weak spot costs money. She'd walk through every room asking one question. If heat could talk, where would it tell me it's escaping? That's a question worth asking in your own home. Not next week, not next month, today. Walk through your house. Stand near your windows. Stand beside your doors. Feel around skirting boards. Pay attention, because what feels like a tiny draft can become a surprisingly large bill over 12 months. Gran Betty always said, "Small leaks sink big ships." Then she'd add, "And empty bank accounts." Now, before I tell you about the mistake that shocked me most, let me ask you something. How many standby lights can you currently see from where you're sitting? Seriously, take a quick look around, count them. The television, the charger, the speaker, the microwave, the gaming console. You may have more tiny glowing lights around you than stars visible in the night sky. Gran Betty would have had something to say about that. A glowing light means somebody's spending money. That woman could turn anything into a financial lesson. And honestly, she wasn't wrong. But before we get to the electricity vampires, we need to talk about windows. Because Gran Betty had a complicated relationship with windows. She appreciated them. She just didn't trust them. She'd point at a window and say, "That's a lovely view you've got there. Shame it's charging rent." Or, Windows are holes with good public relations. Every guest laughed. Every guest remembered. And that's exactly why her lessons stuck. Instead of replacing everything immediately, she focused on simple wins. Heavy curtains, thicker fabrics, thermal linings. Anything that trapped warmth inside. She wasn't interested in expensive solutions until she had exhausted the inexpensive ones first. Never spend £100 solving a £10 problem. I must have heard that 1,000 times. And the older I get, the wiser it sounds. Then came her famous draft snakes. Now, if you've never seen one before, you're missing out. Gran Betty made hers from old woolen tights filled with rice and dried peas. Nothing glamorous, nothing fancy. Yet she treated them like precision engineering. One day I joked that she should patent them. She replied, "I'd rather keep the money than spend it hiring lawyers." That was Gran Betty, practical right to the end. But here's the thing, those draft snakes worked. And they worked because they stopped tiny streams of cold air from fooling the heating system into working harder. Again, small problem, simple solution, big impact over time. And that brings me to the experiment that completely changed how I view modern appliances. A few months ago, I bought an energy monitor. I wanted to see exactly how much electricity various appliances consumed. To be honest, I expected almost everything to show 0 when switched off. I couldn't have been more wrong. The television, the coffee machine, the microwave, the sound system, the chargers. One after another they were quietly consuming electricity. Not because I was using them, because they were waiting for convenience, waiting for instructions, waiting for me. And suddenly, I heard Gran Betty's voice. "If you're not using it, why are you feeding it?" That question stopped me cold. Because that's exactly what I was doing. Feeding machines that weren't doing anything. Gran Betty never had a fancy name for this. Today people call them energy vampires. Gran Betty called them freeloaders. And she had very strong opinions about freeloaders. If something lives in my house, it had better earn its keep. I still laugh every time I remember her saying that. So here's the system she used. Every Sunday evening she did what she called the 5-minute wealth walk. No spreadsheets, no apps, no dashboards, no complicated reports. Just 5 minutes, room by room, switch by switch, plug by plug. She checked what needed power and what didn't. That's it. 5 minutes, one habit, repeated every week. Gran Betty believed consistency beats intensity. People change their lives with routines, not resolutions. Now here's where things get really interesting, because saving money is only half the story. Most people save money and never see it again. The savings quietly disappear into everyday spending. Gran Betty hated that. Money without a job finds trouble. So every pound she saved had somewhere to go. She moved savings into savings accounts, investments, future goals. She understood something many people miss. Saving money creates opportunity. But investing saved money creates freedom. Imagine saving £80 every month. That's £960 a year. Over 10 years. The numbers become meaningful. Especially once growth enters the picture. And that's why Gran Betty viewed efficiency differently. She wasn't trying to save money. She was trying to buy future freedom. Every switched plug, every sealed draft, every avoided expense, every small decision, they all work together. Like tiny employees building wealth in the background. She once told me, "Every pound you save should go out and find friends." At the time, I thought that sounded ridiculous. Today I realize she was describing compounding, just in Gran Betty language. The older I get, the more I realize she wasn't really teaching me about electricity, or curtains, or draft snakes. She was teaching awareness, attention, discipline, respect for resources. Respect for money. Because wealth rarely disappears overnight. It leaks away gradually. And wealth is usually built the same way. Gradually. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. One improvement at a time. A year from now, two families could earn exactly the same income. Yet one family could be significantly better off. Not because they earned more. Because they wasted less. Gran Betty understood that long before personal finance became popular online. And perhaps that's her greatest lesson of all. Rich isn't what you earn. Rich is what you keep. So here's my challenge for you. Today, walk into one room, just one. Find one thing wasting energy. Fix it. Then come back and tell us what you found in the comments. I'd genuinely love to know. And if Gran Betty's wisdom has helped you today, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to lower their bills, and subscribe to the channel. And don't leave yet. The next episode of Gran Betty's Money Wisdom series may be my favorite lesson of all. It's the simple grocery rule she used to stretch every pound further while still feeding the whole family well. It saved her thousands over the years. And it might completely change the way you shop. Click the next video and I'll meet you there.